right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new season of the Bleav in Arizona Football Podcast 2022. This is the week one show, meaning it should probably be pre-week one show, right? It's a pre-show for the season. We're just going to go over a very quick season preview. So hang on for the ride. It's going to be a quick one. I am your host, Eddie Law. Of course, my co-host, Mr. Shaquille Richardson, currently with Toronto Argonauts. We will be on future episodes, of course, bringing his insight as an expert in obviously football, not only college but professional. He's done on every level: college, NFL, CFL now. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to a very exciting season, and we damn sure hope it is, because last season was rough. Right, going one and everything, that was rough, and I hate to push y'all through it, but very quickly we'll do a little recap of last season and what we hope happens this season. So sorry to bring it up here, courtesy ESPN, of course. Week one, that BYU game. A lot of people were excited for that being in Vegas, of course. I thought it was hilarious you took BYU to Vegas, but, they were there, so, fair enough. And I know BYU's recently been in some hot water due to one of their fans, but BYU, as far as football goes, I've never heard any crazy stories. You should probably ask Shaq about that when he comes on. So we'll do that. Anyway, so lost to BYU, lost to San Diego State, who we get to see again in week one. The NAU loss was embarrassing. Like, that NAU loss was embarrassing, because that's not just your little brother. That's like your little brother's friend with that's like cross-eyed. Like, that kid beat you. That's like that's the dude. So, and no offense to anybody that's cross-eyed, but damn, dude, like, come on, that was rough. All right, then obviously losing to number 3 Oregon, they're one of the best teams in the country. We hung with them for about a half a quarter, maybe a quarter, and then it was lights out from there. Obviously, the loss to UCLA was rough. Getting shut up by Colorado was ugly. Washington loss was like, because we were kind of in that game for a bit, and that was ugly too. Obviously USC. By the way, USC, UCLA not going to be in our conference anymore here very, very soon, so they're off to the Big Ten, I believe. Yeah, the California win was the only one we had, and even that was ugly. 10-3. No, 10-3. Like, if you look at all the numbers here, like our quarterback, like, we were round robbing it, obviously injuries and all that. Cruz had the one. I think Cruz and Plummer had the one good game each, like really good game each. As far as yards go, I don't, I could pull up the individual box scores, but I don't want to depress everybody watching it. So, and then losing to Utah, a game that I thought we'd be more competitive in. And I know the score shows that we were competitive, but that was a rough one. Although we're probably more competitive than normal. And as far as last season goes, the loss to Washington State was rough, and of course losing to Arizona State. Like, no one wants to lose to the Scum Devils ever. But it was in Tempe this year. That game's at Arizona Stadium, so we're gonna see something a little different here, folks. So speaking of this season, let's go ahead and bring up the season schedule straight from the Arizona football website. Week one this weekend, September 3rd at San Diego State. We lost to them last year. We need to get some payback here at their place. Fast and Furious kind of game with Jalen De La Cruz, I think. No, De Laura, sorry. Wow, I was thinking Gunnar Cruz. With Jalen De Laura coming over from Washington State, he hung a really good game on us last year. And I mean, he hung a really good game on us last year. I think he threw for, I don't know what it was, but he kicked our ass last year. Actually, I'm gonna pull that up because that was a sad thing to watch. 259 yards and four touchdowns on us. That's what he threw. That's it was easy for them. They had no issues hanging with us or handling us. So but now he's on our side, so we'll see what happens here. Then week 2, September 10th, Mississippi State at home. Then North Dakota State at home the week after that. That'll be week 3. Week 4, Cal at Cal. In Berkeley, in Berkeley. Then we're at home against Colorado October 1st. Then family weekend for students at U of A. If you guys ever did family weekend, that game gets packed, and it's always like the worst time possible. It's usually like the hottest time of the day when that game happens, if I remember correctly, because everyone was they got stuff out later that day. But they do have a real cool thing on Friday nights if you guys ever go, where they do on University. I believe still do it on University. They have this whole like rally to bring people in for, I believe, homecoming. Actually, that's probably the homecoming thing. But either way, fun times. If you down in Tucson, hit up some games. It's always a good time. Then October 15th at Washington. That'll be a rough game. Those guys are always tough. Doesn't matter what kind of talent they have. Then back at homecoming against USC. we're trying to give USC a nice little get out of here, farewell. We don't need you in the conference. But they got a squad, man. They have a squad, folks. So that's gonna be a tough game, especially with Lincoln Riley moving over to USC from Oklahoma. Then November 5th at Utah in Salt Lake. The fun part about it, because I was at Salt Lake covering UFC 278, and now we're talking a different sport. Right? We're talking fighting, but the altitude there is no joke. Some of these guys that are world-class athletes were gassing out. So we'll see what happens there. Then, of course, they always have to deal with that Colorado, Utah, any elevation spots. It's always worth to play at. Then November 12th at UCLA. Again, another team we need to make sure we get it. We send off with an L. Then November 19th, Washington State at home. De Laura gets a little payback, a little give back. Then, of course, at home against Arizona State, I'm definitely going to try to go to this game. It's Friday night. It's a little rough, but definitely going to try and go to that game. But Arizona State, we need to get some back. And, of course, as always, they put on here the Pac-12 football championship game will be at Legion Stadium where the Raiders play on December 2nd. So that's something definitely to look forward to. But how do I put it? I don't like to count you don't count your chickens, right? So it's nice to have that on the schedule and everything, but yeah, I Bleav in some bad juju. So let's hope that it just jinxes right there. All right. Some of the headlines against De Laura as our quarterback. Plenty of changes and this whole transfer portal has changed college sports forever, as long as they have it. These guys are moving around. It's easier to move around in college sports than it is to get a trade in the NBA. Like we just saw with Kevin Durant, right? Trying to get a trade out of Brooklyn, trying to go to Phoenix, trying to go to Miami, trying to go to Boston, and in the end, he just stayed. It's just really hard to get it's a lot harder to get into a different squad after professional sports, but in college, it's become so easy. You just enter the transfer portal. And Jedd Fisch is really good at ball hawking that transfer portal, man. De Laura was a good get. I know there was a couple guys he was looking at. He was trying to get there were better. But the one thing Fisch can definitely do, in my opinion, is offer these guys. The fact that he's been everyone in the NFL. Like he's had a million jobs. He's worked under everyone. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, everybody. He's worked at Miami. I was at U of A now. He's worked everywhere. So he's got connections everywhere. I mean, he can go into some kids and be like, you want to go to the NFL? Because I know how to get there, and I know all the guys in there. You want to go? Let's go. So a lot of guys in there that we could definitely look at to bring something to the team next season. So again, we'll watch this weekend, San Diego State. We'll have a full breakdown for you on Sunday or Monday night on here on Bleav Podcast, on Bleav Podcast Network, and of course on our YouTube channel at Bleav in Arizona Football on YouTube. A couple notes here as far as professionals. We like to talk about the professional players as well, the Arizona Wildcats and the pros. A lot of guys got cut today. Will Parks cut by the Jets. More than likely, he ends up back there on a practice squad. But he had a couple good plays, in the last I think last week's preseason game. So I don't think he'll end up on the practice squad with how injuries work in the NFL. But if they get him back in the practice squad, they'll be pretty happy. I'm sure he'll be happy staying in New York. Then J.J. Taylor, you guys remember running back, a guy that I wanted for the Cardinals, ended up going to the Patriots. They are cutting him. They are cutting him. So, but apparently they're going to try and bring him back. So we'll see what happens there. I would love for the Cardinals to be like, hey, our backup is Eno Benjamin. Let's see what you got. Can you be a Chase Edmonds type of guy? Because JJ can run, but he can also, I Bleav he has hands now. So we'll see. And then the Falcons have actually cut Stanley Berryhill, who I thought and still Bleav is a good pro. I was not Hall of Famer off the bat, but the kid can play. He's just on a team with who has London in there, and I don't know if Calvin Ridley's ever going to play again, but we'll see. But they have like a packed wide receiver room, so he's just a victim of the numbers. I'm sure he'll end up on an actual squad. I would love for all these guys to go to the Cardinals, but it is what it is. Speaking of the Cardinals, they cut Jace Whitaker, who will probably end up in a practice squad again. He played sparingly, I Bleav, last season, so I think he will end up back in the practice squad. And we're short. We're the Cardinals are pretty light on DBs. I know they just traded for one of the better corners in the NFL. And Manel forget his whole name. I'm sorry. Out of the Raiders, but if he stays healthy, he's great. But I'm 99% sure we'll see Jace and suited up on a Sunday here at some point. Gary Brightwell back on the Giants roster, made the team. So he is, I Bleav, third or fourth on the line. I think it's like Barkley, Saquon Barkley, Matt Breda from the Dolphins ended up with the Giants. Antonio Williams is there. I think Antonio and Gary Brightwell end up battling, but Gary run. He's a truck, so I Bleav he'll end up everywhere on the plane. Other guys that made teams: Dane Cruikshank, DBs with the Bears, Tony Fields with the Browns, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, obviously linebacker with the Niners, Nick Foles, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, is backing up Matt Ryan. Wow, Matt Ryan with the Colts. So by the way, if Nick Foles is backing you up, you watch your back. All right, that man will take over. I was the Nick Foles kicker for the New England Patriots, and Roy Lopez still doing it for the Houston Texans. When he got drafted by them, I think later in the rounds, I ended up on a show and he with a guy in Houston, and he asked me to tell him about Roy Lopez, and I'm like, relentless. This man works. Like, he wants it, and he's still on the squad, still doing it. So he's definitely one of those guys that's going to be a problem as long as he stays healthy and keeps improving. Other things to talk about here as far as Arizona football. Bleav our first commit out of Arizona ended up signing or committing in a safety. I think Genesis Smith, I think his name was. And then we did lose JB Brown. I think he's a D lineman for the season, shoulder surgery. What else do we have in terms of Arizona football? There's plenty, man. There's a lot of things you could talk about, but I don't want to ruin it for you guys. We have a lot coming this season. So this is your preview show, ladies and gentlemen. Preseason show, preview for the season show. Again, make sure you hit us up on Shaq at dr4_unruly on IG and Twitter. Hit him up. Send him good vibes. The man's he's whooping ass over at the CFL with Toronto Argonauts. Make sure you check him out. I'm on Twitter at Eli32 on Twitter, and Instagram at Eli52, and of course the show at Bleav in AZFball on Twitter. Wherever we're, folks. On YouTube, we're on Bleav Podcast Network. We're on anywhere you can get podcasts. Hang with us this season. I'm telling you, I have a really good feeling about 2022-23 for our Arizona Wildcats. All right, so let's go get them. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Catch you guys after week 1. Bear down, baby.